There are not many things these days which unite Italians. Liberation Day on the 25th of April, to celebrate Italy's liberation from the Nazis, is associated with the left and opposed by some on the far right. Republic Day on the 2nd of June celebrates the not entirely fair referendum which voted for the abolition of the monarchy after the Second World War. And even the Italian football team is no longer the unifying force it was when it was more conspicuously successful. But there is one figure who unites Italians across the political spectrum, even though he lived over 700 years ago, and that is Italy's patron saint, St Francis of Assisi. In fact, his fame goes much further than Italy, as we shall see. Francis was born in Assisi in central Italy in 1181, and in fact was not called Francis at all. That was a nickname because he happened to have been born in France, where his wealthy father had been away on business. So why is St Francis so popular in Italy and elsewhere today? I think it's because he represents so many modern trends, and, to use the modern language of identity politics, he is considered an ally by numerous groups. He naturally appeals to Catholics as a saint remembered for his holiness, his miraculous stigmata, and his acceptance of the authority of the Pope at a time when other friars preaching poverty, such as Savonarola in Florence, were burnt for heresy. He's popular with the left because, in setting out to live like Jesus had, he gave away his wealth, wandered as a beggar, and was on the side of the poor. Today, the little church from which he renounced the world to live with the poor has been enclosed within the ostentatious basilica of Santa Maria degli Angeli. St Francis may have embraced poverty, but he could still be accommodated within the golden riches of the papacy. My own pictures of Santa Maria degli Angeli are somewhat compromised by the ominous and inevitable words, closed for restoration, and an abundance of scaffolding. St Francis also appeals to the right, and was described by Benito Mussolini as the most Italian of saints, in part because of his willingness to sacrifice himself to the authority of the Church in Rome. He also appeals to feminists because of his support for Clare of Assisi, who he allowed to join his brotherhood, and who went on to found the Order of the Poor Clares, including giving her his habit and providing them with space in his monastery. St Francis loved animals and preached that the world was created beautiful and good by God. His love of animals included those usually considered as hostile, such as wolves. He preached to the birds and commanded a wolf which had killed people and livestock in nearby Gubbio to hurt no one any more. Pope John Paul II declared him to be the patron saint of nature, and it is said to be common for people to bring their pets to church for a blessing on his feast day, although I was disappointed to see a no dog sign at Santa Maria degli Angeli. Francis wandered alone on Mount Subasio, towering above Assisi, and incidentally just 50 metres shorter than the highest mountain in Britain, where he lived for days in the wild amidst nature, a precursor of an escape to the country. St Francis appeals to non-believers too. As a pacifist, and not for nothing, is Assisi a place of secular pilgrimage for peace marches. He was a critic of consumerism and the desire for material things. He even appeals to Muslims, as it's widely believed he travelled to Egypt with the Crusades to spread the word of Christianity, where he was brought before the Sultan. It's not known what transpired, but he was released, apparently with mutual respect, after talking with the Sultan. He's even popular in Protestant countries, not usually enthusiastic about saints, and despite having been used by the Pope as a leading figure for the Counter-Reformation. Here he is, painted by Stanley Spencer in 1935, in a setting which is much more Berkshire than Italy. There was considerable interest in him in impoverished Britain after the First World War, and in 2023 there was an exhibition about him at the National Gallery in London. St Francis left behind many iconic images and traces, whether of him receiving the stigmata, his clothing and his handwriting, all of which adds to his accessibility for modern audiences. You can see his signature in various places, including Spoleto in Umbria. In fact, St Francis is one of the first examples of the rebel, the protester against what to him was the modern world of power, wealth and sophistication. He was the animal rights activist, the environmentalist, the person open to all faiths, the man of peace. He is the superstar of many films, including being played by Mickey Rourke of all people, and a Marvel superhero all of his own. As Italian journalist Marcello Veneziani provocatively wrote, St Francis of Assisi unites us. His namesake, Pope Francis, divides us. I hope you enjoyed this little video about St Francis of Assisi. Please do like and subscribe, and there'll be another video about something vaguely Italian shortly.